Hi, Phil. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I sure can. Thank you.
Nice to see you. And I have you down for item number 4, Logan Street. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, Mary. It's Cassandra. Can you hear me okay? Okay, looks like you're checking in. I'll check back with you in a minute. But Maddie T, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Awesome. I saw you were, when you first checked in, I couldn't make contact with you. I just want to make sure everything's okay. And I have you down for item number 4, correct?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yes.
Nice seeing you. Hi, Mary. Can you hear me now?
Unmute. Yes.
Yep, you're unmuted now. I can hear you. I just wanted to check in and confirm you're here for item number 5, correct?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Perfect. We'll see you start shortly. Hi, Danny. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Danny. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I have you down for Logan Street, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Great. Nice seeing you. Hi, Sarah. Can you hear me okay? You might have to unmute yourself, but I just want to check in. Make sure you can hear me. Perfect. Good afternoon. I have you down for item number 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're on our consent item, so it should go very quickly. And after your item's heard, you're welcome to leave or you can stay. It's up to you. Okay. Hi, Tina. It's Cassandra. I'm trying to unmute you. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Tina. Can you hear me okay? I'm trying to unmute you. Okay. Is anybody that's checked in know who Tina Donnelly is, or is she with anyone, any of the projects that you're aware of, anybody? Hi, it's Cassandra. I have you listed as Urban Fast Forward. I was just, if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's Kathleen Norris.
Perfect.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Sure, and I have you down just to confirm for item number 4, correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody.
Hi, David, can you hear me okay? David, can you hear me okay? David Marshall? Yeah,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
awesome. Okay, I just would make sure you can hear me. Hi, Stephen, can you hear me okay? Stephen Hunt? And Stephen, are you able to unmute and start your video? Hi, Stephen, it's Cassandra. Can you hear me okay? I think you have to unmute yourself if you're able to.
Cassandra, you have David Marshall listed as number 5. He should be number 4.
I'll make a note of it and I'll change that just shortly. I'm trying to fix something else, but I'll get to that next. Thank you very much for letting me know. Okay, Joe Hansford, are you able to unmute yourself and start your video?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And I have you down for, were you item number 5? I just saw you on my list. I checked you off. Yeah, no, you're 4. I'm sorry. You're 4 for Logan Street. Is that correct, Joe?
That's correct.
Okay. Sorry
Yep.
about that. All right.
No problem. Well, thanks for having me. I'll keep it brief here. My name is Joe Hansbauer. I'm the
Joe?
president and CEO of the.
Joe?
Yep.
I haven't
Yes, sir.
started yet. I'm just checking
Oh.
everybody in, and I apologize
Got
for
it.
running
Sorry.
late. We just had so many participants. I have 2 more people in the waiting room, just to let everybody know. Hopefully we'll get started here just shortly. I apologize.
Okay.
Hi, Michael. It's Cassandra. Can you hear me okay, Michael Whalen? Hi, Michael. Can you hear me okay? I think you might have to unmute yourself, but it sounds like you can hear me.
Yes, I am.
All right. And I have you down for item number 1. Is that correct?
Whoa.
Hi, Stephen, it's Cassandra. Stephen Hunt, are you able to unmute yourself and start your video? Hi, Stephen, can you hear me?
Hey,
Hi, Edward, can you hear me okay? Edward, I have you down for item number 4. Is that accurate? I think you need to unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
yes.
Okay, good afternoon, nice seeing you. Okay, and then we've got one more person in the waiting room. Hi, Tina Donnelly. This is Cassandra. Can you unmute yourself and start your video? Okay, so I'm unable to make contact with Tina Donnelly, and I don't have Tina on my list. Does anybody know who Tina Donnelly is? Is she part of a project?
I believe that's Steve's Hunt's partner.
Oh, and I'm not able to make contact with Steve Hunt either. There he is. Tina Donnelly, you are on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. I think your microphone might not be. Okay.
Hey, Cassandra. Cassandra,
Yes.
it's John. Hey, I think that Christian Hulsman was having some trouble with the registration website as well. I think he's trying to get a hold of you right now as well to try and obtain credentials.
So if he has a link, John, he just needs to sign into Zoom first,
Okay.
and then the meeting link will work. But if that would be my recommendation. So Tim and David, I'm ready to go on my end. I just want to advise you that the Hunt, Stephen Hunt and Tina Donnelly, I've not been able to make contact with. I know they're not until item number 5, so maybe we can start and kind of troubleshoot with them. I might be able to reach out to them, and let them know that I can't hear them.
Yeah, Cassandra, if we could get started on the other cases, 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you can try to on the back end do some troubleshooting with Stephen Hunt, that would be great. I'll see what I can do to provide you some contact information for him.
Yeah, I think I have some contact. And then Tim, give me a minute and I'll send over the sign-in sheet, and we're ready to go on my end whenever you guys are. And I'm good.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Voss, and I'm the chair of the Historic Conservation Board. I'd like to take a minute to remind everyone about the rules of this proceeding. This proceeding is at all times governed by the rules of procedure adopted by the board on September 26, 2011, amended March 23, 2015, last amended March 9th, 2020. A copy of the rules of procedure is available for review online. All those planning to testify today, which does not include those solely making arguments such as attorneys, will be asked to take an oath administered by the board's attorney when they testify. This is a quasi judicial hearing, and as such, the board reserves the right to deliberate in private. The Ohio Rules of Evidence do not apply to this hearing. However, professional rules of conduct do apply, and candor of the tribunal is required. The board members are citizen volunteers and are not paid for their service. They are treated as public officials under Ohio law, and any attempt to influence them, including but not limited to bribery, intimidation, retaliation, which may include contacting their employer in an attempt to exert influence, is punishable as a crime. All should be aware that this meeting is being tape recorded. Therefore, please speak clearly into your microphone and state your name and address for the record. In the event of any technical difficulties with video conferencing technology, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. All participants providing testimony must have both camera and audio features turned on in order to participate. All right, we have 5 on our agenda today. The first 3 are on the consent docket. By way of reminder, I will call out each case. If a board member wishes to remove a consent item from that into the discussion items, they should let me know at that time. So we will start with number 1, 2709 Woodburn Avenue. Does any board member wish to remove this? All right, absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Sunderman,
Aye.
Ms. McKenzie,
Aye.
Ms. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Aye.
Mr. Zelasco, Mr. Zelasco,
Aye. Can you hear me?
votes aye. Item number 1, 2709 Woodburn Avenue is approved. Item number 2, 2927 Ludlow Avenue. Would any board member like to remove this from the consent docket? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Sunderman,
Aye.
Ms. McKenzie,
Aye.
Ms. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Zelasco.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Item number 2, 3927 Ludlow is approved. Item number 3, 209 Wade Street. Does any board member wish to remove this from the consent docket? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning relief as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Sunderman,
Aye.
Ms. McKenzie,
Aye.
Ms. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Zelasco.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Item number 3, 209 Wade Street is approved. All right, that brings us to our discussion items. Item number 4, 1815 Logan Street. Ms. Johnson, would you give us a little background here?
Yes, 1815 Logan Street is within the Over the Rhine Historic District. The nature of the request is the applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for new construction for a multi-story parking garage with commercial spaces on the first floor and related zoning relief. The only zoning relief that is required is for a conditional use for parking facilities within the CCP zoning district. Half of the site is within the CCA, the other half is within the CCP. Parking facilities are permitted by right in the CCA and as a conditional use within the CCP. The proposed condition is that they would like to build a parking garage with 7 tiers of parking with the appearance of a 6-story building at the corner of Central Parkway and Elder Street. And then it reduces in height to an appearance of a tall 4-story at Elder Street and Campbell Street Alley. The structure will have appearance of different buildings to break up the building. The section of the building where Logan Street is currently located will provide a blank wall for a mural. And the ground floor will be made up of mostly commercial storefronts. Previously, going back to the site plan, the location that is within the CCP did receive a conditional use on May 8th of 2017 for use as a surface parking lot and a parking facility, which was approved at that point. Obviously, this is an expansion of that conditional use, therefore it does require an additional conditional use hearing. In regards to the conditional use, the proposed work, while a parking facility, will provide a significant void in the urban fabric where a surface parking lot is currently. The overall design is compatible with the design guidelines and helps to create a street continuity in a corner built fabric that has been missing. The project also helps provide parking for the uses of Findlay Market within a structure which is more compatible to a dense urban fabric than a surface lot. In regards to specific plans that support the request for conditional use, in the Over the Rhine Comprehensive Plan from 2002, it specifically states that in areas of highest concentrated demand along Vine Street, Main Street, Elder, 12th, Liberty, and Central Parkway, shared parking should be provided through lot consolidations and parcel assemblage for structured parking. It also states that structured parking is appropriate fronting Central Parkway if it is accessed from central and house and multi-story buildings that are screened by historically architecturally appropriate cladding that includes street level retail and office space. So in regards to the conditional use, staff is supportive of the conditional use for both the reasons stated in the plan, as well as that it is filling in a fabric and is a need that has been stated often is a need up near Findlay Market. Moving into the certificate of appropriateness discussion, staff wants to first frame the discussion with a few points. One, obviously it is the building is being built over what is currently Logan Street. The vacation of Logan Street is not something that the Historic Conservation Board is to consider. That is not within the purview or the authority of this board. That is a discussion and a final decision that will be made by City Council. That decision has not yet been made by City Council, so staff's review was based on if the vacation is granted. If the vacation is not granted, then obviously the plans and project would change, and those changes would have to come back before the board. Also, staff does want to kind of frame the conversation in regards to some of the discussion that had been provided in the letters, and I'm sure will be provided in the comments in regards to faux historic detail versus modern detail. As we have discussed many times at this board, that the design guidelines do not dictate a specific style, it dictates compatibility. And there are often two phrases that are often brought up in this discussion. One is talk of differentiated but compatible. That does not have a specific meaning and can be interpreted in many ways. One such is that you can have traditional detailing and traditional materials, but the thought is obviously the materials are new, and so that is differentiated. Another thought on faux history is that the traditional design would be considered faux history, but then the argument can also be made that it's obvious that it's not historic because you'll be able to, in this specific case, and that you'll be able to see cars through the windows, that there's not glazing on the windows, and that the materials are also new, and that the buildings are obviously not individual buildings. And so just some framing of the conversation and things to consider when reviewing. So in regards to new construction, obviously this is a parking garage, which is treated, can be treated slightly different than other other buildings because it is not a traditional mixed use building or a traditional residential building. And the use is a different use. And so the programmatic elements do need to be considered. There are specifically 3 elements that staff doesn't feel meet the guidelines, but are needed for programmatic elements. So the glass tower at the northwest corner. So while curtain wall systems are not found within the historic architecture of the neighborhood, in this specific case, staff does feel that it is appropriate in that it does soften the transition of the parking garage to the contributing building to the north. And then also as a safety factor, as this is a stairwell and creating a lot of light and visibility into that staircase for the people that are using it, does provide a safe factor. Another element is the solid metal panel wall in signature kind of corner where there will be signage. And again, this is partly necessary for the programmatic elements of the building, and specifically once the sign is on there as a wayfinding sign. Staff did encourage the applicant to be playful on this corner, as it will be an entrance into Findlay Market, which is a place in the neighborhood filled with activity. The movement of the panels provides a level of subtle playfulness, and the proposed sign is a very direct, playful design. Providing an oversized sign will help with visitors know where to park, as well as provide a more efficient transportation experience into the neighborhood and specifically into the garage. To note, this sign is exempt from zoning review. So while it is a larger sign, because it is a wayfinding sign on a government building, it is exempt from zoning. And then the third element is the open parking garage floors. So staff is of the philosophy that you don't need to necessarily hide what the building is being used for. And so while there are obviously screening methods on here to help the building be more compatible, staff did not feel that it was necessary to clad all faces of the building. And so the cars will be able to be visible through specific sections of the building. So going on to the specific guidelines, staff does want to highlight specifically a few. So in regards to the base, middle, top, this building being able to provide commercial on the first floor on both the Central and the Elder Street facade does help to provide a strong base, as well as a pedestrian-oriented development. So providing the use of storefronts and use of the storefront language on the first floor helps to create that strong base. The middle is defined with the various means of different types of design. This design also is reflected within the rhythm of the building as well. And so the middle is uses things such as individual punched openings or a framing system that has references to windows, and even a mural system to kind of define that space. I'll say the mural at the center is the only place that doesn't really have necessarily the base, middle, top, and specifically in regards to the top. Staff did discuss this with the applicant, and we felt that it was appropriate here, as it does give reference to the fact that there was a street there and does provide a break in the buildings which would have traditionally been there when there were buildings on these lots. And regarding the window openings, again, there are not necessarily specific windows on the up in the middle portion of the building because this is a parking garage, but references to using sills and lintels and individual punched openings, as well as using a metal frame system to create reference to windows, does help provide that similarity to the built fabric that is around it. And then while these aren't individual real openings with glazing on them, they do have some of the similar attributes, such as they are taller than they are wide. And then that they're also in horizontal and vertical rows. So in regards to the rhythm, again, this is a large format building. And so the design approach has broken the building up into distinct tenant spaces. And then this is followed by the distinctive middles and tops over each tenant space. This does create a visual rhythm of spaces that are 20 to 45 feet wide. And within each division, the windows or paired columns, metal framework patterns break up the facade into consistent articulation in vertical subdivisions over the street facade. Again, as this building is a large format building, the building is overall wider than it is tall. However, they've used elements such as vertical oriented windows, vertical window columns, strong corners and centrally placed columns or pilasters in the large divisions defined by tenant spaces to help create a vertical emphasis over the building. In regards to height, the building is substantially 6 stories at Central Parkway and 4 stories at Campbell Street Alley. The building to the north on Central Parkway is 5 stories, and the buildings to the east are 4 stories. The buildings on Logan Street north of the project are 3 stories. The portion of this building closest to them is 6 stories tall. However, there is a 50-foot distance between those 2 buildings. So the 3-story buildings are here. So there's a distance between the parking garage and the nearest 3-story building. The building is 7 stories or 80 feet 6 inches tall at the northwest corner to accommodate an elevator and stair tower to the top level of the parking garage. While this portion is 2 stories taller than the directly adjacent building, as the rest of the building substantially complies with the height requirements, staff would consider that the building substantially complying with this guideline. There were several comments submitted to staff. There were the Community Council's Board of Trustees did provide a letter of support, and then there were 2 letters of opposition that were submitted. In regards to the recommendations, staff recommends the following. Staff recommends that the proposed project proposed at 1815 Logan Street per the plan submitted by DNK Architecture dated 9/9/21, approve the conditional use for the parking facility with the condition, with no conditions. And then staff recommends approval for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction of a multi-story parking garage with commercial at the first floor at 1815 Logan Street per the drawing submitted by DNK Architecture dated 9/9/21 with the following conditions: that the building permit must be issued within 2 years or the COA will expire, and that Logan Street is approved for vacation and sale.
Thank you. All right, who will we have speaking for the project?
My name is David Kirk, and I will be speaking for the project.
All right. What would you like to add that Ms. Johnson has not told us?
I have just a very short piece that I would like to add to just address.
Mr. Kirk, before you get into that, I do need to swear on all of our witnesses. So if you could just raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, good afternoon, members of the Historic Conservation Board. It is an honor to present to you the Hamilton County project that will make a difference in the historic neighborhood of the Over the Rhine. As you have read in your packet, the project consists of an above-ground parking structure that will house 515 parking spaces. The garage is 7 tiers high and approximately 80 feet tall on the west side. If you look at slides 20 and 21, it shows that it covers about 0.88 acres of land, and that will be shown on slide 26. The design of the structure, like the garage, the design of a structure like the garage in a historic district is very challenging. Innate in a garage is its mass. It has to be designed in a fashion that allows for efficient use of the patrons. In the case of designing the garage in a historic district, another layer has to be applied to address the historic character of the specific district where it is being constructed. Over the past 6 months, there have been more than 20 meetings with individuals and committees in the OTR. We have wrapped the building with a facade that is in compliance with the Over the Rhine conservation guidelines. The facade addresses the mass of a 515 space parking garage by breaking down the scale into multiple facades that take on the characteristics of any existing street in the district. You will find material changes in the various facades that again resemble the vernacular of buildings in the neighborhood. As we have continued to take into consideration the comments from the community, we have added greenery on the north and south elevations and would like to know the HCB's thoughts on the possibility of this addition. You will see it in slides 34 and 37. We have also left blank a location of artwork to be added to the south elevation, and that is on slide 33, and it was mentioned by the urban conservative. One of the other design features occurs at the major corners of the project, create transitions that lets the observer know that something different is about to occur. These corners are primers as to how people will be introduced to the garage from Central Parkway. The new appearance will grab the attention and become a landmark as people drive on Central Parkway looking for the garage. The first floor transparency meets the requirements of the OTR guidelines while also creating a human scale to the project. Access to the garage is via a new access road off of Central Parkway. The design team is working with DOTE to design the ingress and egress for the garage. With that, I believe I have captured elements of the garage that were not discussed in the staff report and feel that we have designed this garage in a way to address the guidelines and the community comments that we received. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, does anyone on the board have questions for staff or the applicant? All right, we have a number of people signed up, so we will get started. Again, we have to get you each sworn in. So with that, we'll start with Tim Green.
Yes, I'm Tim Green. I'm actually signed in on the Zoom as David Kirk because I had some technical difficulties, so I had to utilize his password to get in.
Do you wish to add anything?
I don't really have anything to add from what David has already spoke about.
Okay. Phil Beck.
Yes, good afternoon to the board. Thank you for having us this afternoon. I don't have anything of significance to add to David Kirk's summary other than to just emphasize this has been a very exciting project to work on, and getting to know the needs and the input from the many stakeholders in the area. Thank you.
Mindy Barber.
Thank you. I don't have anything else to add. Also a member of the design team here. Have enjoyed hearing all of the comments from the stakeholders. It's been interesting for us to get to incorporate all of those. I'm excited for all of the parking and retail opportunities that the project is going to bring, and here for any questions if they arise. Thank you.
David Marshall.
No, I'm just part of the design team, just listening to this. Very exciting. Thank you.
Frank Hessler.
Thank you. I as well am part of the design team, and I do not have anything to add. Thank you.
All right. Kathleen Norris.
Part of the team, and it's interesting and exciting to be working on a project which will bring additional retail to the Findlay Market area and fill in what is currently both a significant missing tooth at the street front.
Ms. Norris, I think I should swear you in at this point. Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Interesting to be working on the project that will bring a significant amount of retail to the area and help to solve the severe parking challenge in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Maddie Tazumas.
Yes, part of D&K design team. I have no further comments.
All right. Danny Lipson.
Yes. Do I need to swear in?
Please.
Yes. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm calling in representing Urban Sites. We're a neighbor immediately to the south. We developed a film center, which has 44 market rate apartments, and Logan Commons. We're partnering with CMHA to do 42 affordable units. And I just wanted to, as an immediate neighbor, give our support for this project. Not only does it provide the additional parking needed in the area, but as Kathleen noted, it aids to the pedestrian fabric of the neighborhood in filling in that missing tooth and allowing people to walk and really connect the market to Central Parkway, which is its natural main entrance. Thank you.
Thank you. John Back.
Yes, I guess, David, do you want to swear me in?
I do, yes. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I've been at a lot of these meetings in the past, and I've submitted a letter to Ms. Johnson opposed to the project. As I've always said, I don't oppose a parking garage here. I don't oppose the size of the parking garage. It's the design of the parking garage that I continue to be opposed to. This parking garage is massing, I would say unnecessarily cuts off a portion of the neighborhood from Finley Market. It cuts off a significant historic north-south access street, Logan Street, from the rest of the Finley Market neighborhood, affecting people, affecting quality of life, and affecting property values. I disagree with the urban conservator in that as a part of your deliberations as the Historic Conservation Board, you have to consider the effects of zoning requests. And, those things are traffic. Those things are, impact on the neighborhood, adverse impacts. And I really have to say that, in the urban conservators review, specifically under the compatibility with the plans of the community, this design is not compatible with those plans. The 2002 comprehensive plan that the city adopted specifically talks about cutting off street grids like this. It says, and I'll quote it here, it emphasizes the importance of smaller north-south street grids used for local traffic and maintaining its neighborhood scale. It's supposed to, these sorts of projects are supposed to facilitate both local and through travel. They're supposed to connect and encourage more pedestrian-friendly roadway and pathway networks. And they're supposed to ensure that improvements in roads and parking be done without impacting the urban fabric or historic character of the neighborhood, and be as unobtrusive as possible. That's directly from the comprehensive plan of 2002. This project is the opposite of that. And there are ways to do that with good design, with creative design. But time after time after time, those comments from the community have been rejected. So I don't think that this project as it's designed is compatible with the neighborhood because of that. I think that a lot of the material choices facing the north, facing Logan Street, are not historic. Specifically the metal panels that are used. That's almost kind of insult to injury. The streets being cut off and then, that facade of the building is incompatible. And I think that in the end, the quality of life for folks on Logan Street in particular is going to be very bad because of the traffic this creates, because Logan Street will be one of the main access points to the garage. I know that they're adding this piece off of Central, but people are going to get in any way they can, especially on high activity days like game days or market days. And, you know, this is going to have a major negative impact on a portion of our neighborhood. So, you know, it is within your capabilities to not approve this zoning or approve it conditionally. You know, I'd love to work with the design team on figuring out a solution so that this is a win for everybody. But that's never seemed to be on the table. So thanks very much for hearing my thoughts. I appreciate it.
Kimberly Starbuck.
Hi, and thank you for presenting this to community input. I'm also going to be impacted strongly by this construction.
This is Starbuck. I need to swear you in. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall be able to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, I have a building that's adjacent to this location, and it's a strong view from where I live, as well as investment property that I've made here. I'm certainly concerned about the changes, but this neighborhood has always been a neighborhood of change, and cars weren't a part of it when it was built. So I'm really supportive of this project for the needs that need to be met for the Finley Market neighborhood. I'm not an architect. I think that it fits into the facade fits in as well as a structure of this proportion can in this community. And I'm really grateful to the county and design team for presenting it and including the neighborhood and all community interests in the process that has been certainly challenging and changing. I also appreciate the changes that have been included recently, including Greenscape. And I think that's, you know, I'm here to give my support to the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Michelle Avery Keeley.
Yes.
Let's get you sworn in.
Okay.
Raise your hand.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm an architect and have a lot of experience with projects in Over the Rhine. I believe the proposed design will detract from the character of the historic district, does not meet the historic guidelines, nor does it comply with the Over the Rhine comprehensive plan. This historic district is extremely valuable and thriving. We can and must do better. This is a large and important public project. More time must be taken to develop an authentic expression that complements the historic character. The closing off of Logan Street disrupts the street grid and is sad. But if this must happen, the garage building could at least articulate the closed Logan Street end with a break or indent in the facade to break up the long length of facades. A parking garage is a storage use. This garage should relate to other large historic storage and industrial buildings throughout the district without mimicking them. In this district, it's not historically appropriate to make a large storage structure look like a series of unrelated historic residential buildings. The design superficially tacks on a variety of two-dimensional facades along the perimeter, some of which attempt to replicate historic residential buildings and some modern. The proposed garage has too many design languages and too many materials and is simply not compatible. You will not find this approach used for any of the large historic storage and industrial buildings throughout the historic district, including the one directly across Elder Street that now houses Samuel Adams Tap Room and Beer Garden. This design approach is wholly inappropriate. In fact, the OTR historic guidelines under window openings specifically state the openings of new buildings should relate to the size and placement of openings found on historic structures of similar use in the district, and also states in commercial, industrial, and institutional buildings, windows are often grouped within a single opening.
Neither does the proposed design comply with the Over the Rhine Comprehensive Plan, the only city-approved urban plan specifically for Over the Rhine. This plan, pages 101 to 110, recognizes the importance of maintaining the historic street grid and seeks to ensure that transportation needs are met while maintaining a neighborhood scale. Furthermore, the comprehensive plan calls for this to be accomplished without impacting the urban fabric and as unobtrusively as possible. The proposed design is the opposite of unobtrusive and should be sent back for a redesign. Other major historic districts and cities such as Charleston and Savannah has successfully incorporated parking garages that complement the historic architecture. My letter included photos of parking garages in Charleston and Savannah that prove a parking garage can be successfully articulated with one common language throughout with an integrated design and still complement the historic fabric. There's something wrong with this public review and approval process when the construction schedule is already fixed for such an important public work of architecture before even the Logan Street closure was reviewed by the Planning Commission and the review and voting by the Over the Rhine Community Council and the HCB. Developers would not even delay the HCB hearing by a couple of weeks as requested by the Community Council so that they may hold a vote of membership. The letter I submitted listed other procedural problems that should be reviewed. The exterior look was revealed to the public for the first time just under a month ago. Let's take the time needed to make this garage an asset and not a detraction. This community needs a garage, but is caught between a rock and a hard place. This obtrusive, inappropriate design or nothing. The community engagement was not sufficient and the process is being unduly rushed. This large public work is too large and important to get wrong. I urge the board to table the decision on the COA to allow for an appropriate design to be developed in cooperation with the community and the guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Rasmussen?
Yes, hi.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'm a resident of the neighborhood and an employee of Model Group. I think on both fronts, I definitely support this garage. I think the biggest piece of feedback we get from people moving to the neighborhood is that parking is an issue, and it often leads people to choosing other locations if they do decide to not go with one of our buildings. I personally see the amount of traffic coming to the neighborhood, which is great. It's very busy every weekend, but I think this garage will be a huge, huge part in this neighborhood growing in a positive way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joe Hansbauer?
Chairman?
Yeah. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Joe Hansbauer. I'm the president and CEO of the Corporation for Findlay Market, which manages the market and surrounding neighborhood. I am here just to provide support for this garage. We've been looking for the opportunity for structured parking in the neighborhood for just about a decade to support the continued growth, not only of the market and its need for additional transient parking, but also the neighborhood. We have amongst our 3 surface lots, a wait list of over 100 people looking for monthly parking passes. We are able to offer only Monday to Friday passes at the moment to support their needs based on our capacity for parking in the neighborhood. So, part of the Over the Rhine comprehensive plan communicates that the market district should continue to have surface parking until or when there is structured parking in the neighborhood. And so this will solve that. And once it does, it's going to unlock the ability for us to then also see infill to bring the fabric of the neighborhood back to what it once was prior to structures being taken down to support surface parking. So that's an additional benefit of kind of what's coming out of this. The project directly across the street on what is our managed parking lot at Logan Street is primarily going to become possible for development, but not only development, but for a project like senior housing because the parking structure across the street is going to accommodate the needs of both the retail as well as the residential portion of that project. So all in all, we're quite supportive. We've been involved in the process since going back to late spring, encouraging the structure to be as large as the historic guidelines will allow. And so we're excited to see that come to fruition and the 500 parking spaces that will be part of this project coming online, hopefully here in the next 14, 16 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Edward Ratterman.
I'm going to defer any comment at this time.
All right. Danny Klingler.
Mr. Durkee, would you like me to swear in?
Yes. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you. I'll keep this short. My name is Danny Klingler. I'm a resident, 225 Magnolia Street, Executive Director of OTR Adopt, and also a board member of the Over the Rhine Community Council. I somewhat am disappointed in myself for having voted about a year ago with the Community Council to support the idea of a garage at this site. I voted for that because I believed that, and I trusted that there would be enough time to work through a process to get a garage that truly integrates and that does not disrespect the historic character of the neighborhood. And unfortunately, I think now my trust in that process has been betrayed because we find ourselves once again at one of these moments of we're being forced between a decision of one or the other rather than taking the time to make it something that truly works. It's not an either or, obviously. I support a parking garage here. You've heard many others that don't, that support a parking garage here that aren't in favor of this particular version. And that's exactly how I feel. I want to state that I feel that historic preservation has been the aspect that's been consistently given short shrift throughout this process. There was a fairly robust community engagement effort on the part of the project organizers. Unfortunately, those that represented the kind of historic character interests did not get any of those aspects incorporated. It was the two things we were really pushing on was keeping Logan Street open as a historic connector, and then just the height massing, just the largeness of it, getting that a little bit more into scale. And so again, we find ourselves here at this point where it's being presented as an either or, where you have to do it now or else, construction schedule will be messed up, or I don't know what may happen. And I think that's just a big mistake. And I wish I'm hoping that you guys maybe be the bulwark to stand up for the historic character and say, wait a minute, has anyone studied the potential negative impact that this could have? Remember how close it is to Finley Market. Has anyone studied what impact it could have from a negative? We know the positive, right? It's more parking, but from a negative, has anyone studied that? That's my worry. I don't think we have, and it's a huge regional asset that we have here. And we're talking about putting a massive parking garage really close to it. It could be done better. There's no doubt in my mind we could do this better and actually make it a great garage. Before I let you go, I do want to say because the community council meets tonight, and because the project planners were not willing to push this back 2 weeks, the community council board had to take an emergency vote. And that's the letter that you see in your packet, which supports this garage. However, I just want everyone to know that the actual residential membership of the community will not have a chance to say yay or nay on that until tonight. And in fact, didn't even ever see what this project would look like until late September, after the city had already voted to sell Logan Street, shut it down, no resident input on that. So it's just, here we are again. Same old thing. That's it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Lemasters Works.
Good afternoon.
You can please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the board for your time. I am an architect, 20 years, business and property owner in the district for just as long, and I'm within a half block site. I am also the 7-year co-chair of the Over the Rhine Foundation Infill Committee. My colleague Frank Russell is here, I believe, so he will be making our official statement, but I still want to add an additional thoughts of my own. A project of this scale should inherently be held to and reviewed at a higher standard because it will have a much greater impact in the community environment. In addition, this is a publicly funded project and it's the city's and its appointees' responsibility to ensure it's making the best use of our taxpayer dollars. I also believe that those testifying in favor of the project should define their financial interest or benefit from the project. You know, there are certainly folks and developers that have an interest in this project outside of the county. And the design development of these facades, not to mention the overt massing, has woefully fallen short of what is deserved and expected in our national historic district. As noted by an earlier participant, the design development has simply been rushed. So I'm asking for you, please, not to move this project forward until the design development is representative of the kind of time and creative energy required of a project of this scale. Other firms and developers, such as Urban Sites at their Logan Commons on the opposite corner, have spent many months developing just the architectural design integration, and it shows and exhibits creative and critical thinking. There is a place for this garage in our district, but certainly not as it is currently designed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Cassandra, I have 5 people that were not checked in, but were signed up. Have we had any of those check in?
We had Frank Russell, but he was in and out several times. I don't see him on the screen right now.
I'm in.
Oh, there he is. My bad. I apologize.
Mr. Russell.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth? Is that your right? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Russell.
Thank you. I'm representing the Over the Rhine Foundation, and specifically the Infill Committee of the Over the Rhine Foundation. We've reviewed the submittal. We've had the opportunity as well to meet with the project leads. The foundation, our position is opposing the project. In your purview as the HCB, this concerns aspects that relate to the historic conservation guidelines. Some of these items that are not being complied with were very well stated by Ms. Avery Keeley, and I'll reiterate a couple of those points, but we're dealing strictly here with what is related to the historic guidelines, and that the building as proposed is a very large mass, and the ability to make it appear to be smaller can be accomplished by breaking it down, which the designers have done to some extent. So we are getting a breakdown of the horizontal mass with smaller facade components. In that way, the building as a whole is very out of scale with the district or any other block forms in the district. The facade components do break it down somewhat, but where the facade wrapping or cladding doesn't exist, that portion of the facade of the mass does not comply with the historic guidelines. As Ms. Avery Keeley described, it does not have punched openings. It does not have top, middle, and termination at the top. In these areas, it simply does not comply. So on a technical basis, we believe that's a basis for requiring the design team to refine their design. There are a number of other areas that it doesn't comply with, but this is something that can be an immediate improvement. So I'll reiterate another comment made by another speakers. We can do better, and the HCB has within its purview the ability to ask the designers to comply with the existing guidelines, and addressing the cladding and the facade composition as required under the existing guidelines is something that the HCB can ask the design team to do. So I'll conclude my comments for the foundation. At this point, I'd like to make some personal comments, if I may.
Go ahead.
I'm an architect. I'm an urban designer. In fact, I was one of the authors of the 2002 Over the Rhine Plan. It is not in your purview, I don't believe, to try to attempt to reverse some of the Planning Commission decisions. And one of them is to allow this building to terminate or interrupt one of the existing streets in Over the Rhine. It is, as Mr. Bach said in a previous testimony, the connectivity within Over the Rhine at the granular scale is what allows the community and the built form of Over the Rhine to be specific in its character and to be recognizable as something that is unique and fine grained. So interrupting streets is a clear way of undermining the perception and the character of the district itself. You're not going to reverse that, but what you can do as a board is ask the design team to go back to the drawing table and figure out how they can break that mass down a little bit more and comply a little bit better with the guidelines in such a way as to make that mass fit in better with the existing fabric. So I think we can do better, and the board has the ability to make this building and design a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Cassandra, we had 4 other people. Have we had anybody else check in?
No.
Okay. That is everybody we have had signed up and checked in. Questions or comments from the board?
I would like Ms. Johnson to maybe address some of the statements made by the people that are against this project.
I guess, can you be a little bit more specific about which one?
Well, I guess primarily I was the shutting down of Logan Street, and people were reading sections of the guidelines, and I don't have those guidelines here, but I mean, they were saying that this is in violation of those guidelines. And
so the shutting down of Logan Street is not something that is the purview of the Historic Conservation Board, or something that we can talk, or I guess, and make a decision on. That is something that is left up to Planning Commission and ultimately up to City Council. And so you can respond to the certificate of appropriateness, you can respond to the zoning, the conditional use request, but the shutting down of Logan Street is not within the purview that we are to make a decision.
Can you speak to the scale, Ms. Johnson, a little bit?
The scale?
Yeah.
In regards to specifically height or massing or both?
The height in particular, I think.
So as I stated in my staff report, and I can reread that, in regards to the height, that the guidelines state that it should not vary more than 1 story from adjacent contributing buildings. As it is a large building, I think you look at multiple different sizes of the buildings. On the Central Parkway side, it is substantially 6 stories, with just the corner being 7 stories, and the building to the north is 5 stories. In regards to the buildings to the east, they are 4 stories, and it's a tall 4 stories, so it is taller than it, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's a story taller.
John.
The one way that it does not meet that would be in regards to the 3 stories buildings to the north. So that's probably the only specific area that it is taller than 2 stories.
other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose that we go into executive session if we could.
Second.
All right, Mr. Sunderman,
Aye.
Ms. McKenzie,
Aye.
Ms. McDobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Zelasco.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We will go into private session. Everyone will be put into the waiting room. And as soon as we're finished, we'll come back up.